So it looks like, according to some of the rumors, there might actually be a pretty significant time lapse between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4. So let's talk about it. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are finding me for the very first time, be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button. So there hasn't been a lot of news going around in the comic book superhero movie universe. Hasn't really been like big announcements, and usually that's something that this channel really thrives on. When there's big movie announcements in our superhero genre, I really like to cover that stuff, and there hasn't really been nothing that significant as of late. Like little tidbits, but not enough to do entire videos on. But I want to talk about this topic that I read back when I did that Pepper Potts video a few days ago, because in that article it was speculated that there's going to be a significant time jump between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4, where it might actually be like 2, 3, possibly 4 to 5 years time jump between Infinity War and Avengers 4, and the fact that it might actually have Pepper and Tony being married and having a kid. So that's really significant, and the reason why it's significant is for several different reasons. Because we will find out how the world went on with only half its population and how they managed to rebuild the world in a sense. And a lot of people, and I try to debate this, and a lot of people have their own, theories in their head, and you got the right to your own opinion. But Avengers Infinity War is not a to-be-continued movie. It didn't end with a to-be-continued. It wasn't like Back to the Future 2 or even Empire Strikes Back, really, where it kind of left off on a cliffhanger. Well, not even Empire Strikes Back, because that's a definitive ending as well. But Avengers Infinity War was a beginning and end movie. There was no to-be-continued at the end of that movie. It wasn't like Lord of the Rings or anything where it definitely leaves off for the next one. Because at the end of that movie, there is a definitive ending. Thanos wins. The bad guy wins. Just because the good guys don't win doesn't mean it's to be continued. It just means, in this case, Thanos was the good guy of his own story, and it was a definitive ending. So that's why when originally they were doing Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2, they changed that title. And Avengers 4 was no longer called Avengers Infinity War Part 2 because everything took place, the Infinity War was in Avengers 3. And it had a beginning, middle, and end. And the main character of that was Thanos. And it was Thanos' quest to get the Infinity Stones. And that's what he did. He had a goal, he believed in his purpose, and he did X, Y, and Z in order to achieve his goal. And at the end, Thanos won. It was his story. It had a definitive ending. It wasn't to be continued. So Avengers 4 being set maybe 2, 3, 4 years in the future after Avengers 3, that's a real possibility. Because all the other Avengers movie takes place 2 years after the previous Avengers. Age of Ultron takes 2 years after the first Avengers, and then Infinity War takes place like 2 years more after. I believe it's 2. It could be 3 or 2. I always thought it was 2 years, but it could have been 3 years. But so I have a feeling there's going to be another one of those time lapse. And we're seeing how the world is rebuilding. And I do think it might be possible. Maybe we find out that Pepper did go to Titan to save Tony and bring Nebula back. And maybe they're just kind of sitting around. And maybe, because we don't know what happened to Ant-Man. Ant-Man's stuck in the quantum realm. So there's a lot of different factors involved. We know Thanos is going to be involved in Avengers 4, but we don't know what capacity. Is he going to team up with the heroes? Like what? The best thing about Avengers 4 is the fact that we know nothing about it. We absolutely, besides some still images and stuff, we know absolutely nothing about it. We don't know the title, we don't know the plot, we don't know anything about this movie. And I think that is the most intriguing thing. The thing, right now, in the age of social media, where you know everything that's going on around the world, we know nothing about this movie. The movie comes out in less than a year. We don't know the title, and we don't have a trailer. And it's insane to think about that. So the possibilities of there being a 2 to 3, 4 year time lapse is very possible. This movie could be Secret Invasion. This movie could be something other than what we automatically assume judging on the ending of Infinity War. And I think that's fascinating. Because whether you agree or not, in my opinion, Infinity War was a closed book ending. It was not left as a to be continued. It was not a cliffhanger. Thanos came, he got his stones, he won. The end. Just like in Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is not a cliffhanger. The heroes beat Ultron. The end. In this case, Thanos is the hero of his own story. He won. The end. But now let's see how things go. I'm super intrigued. That's why I just kind of wanted to sit here, have a nice discussion with you guys, talk about this. But I want to get your theories, your thoughts. Be sure to leave your comments in the comment box below. And until next time, everybody, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.